Hey legends, we're just going to go through the Thursday night game between the Penny Panthers and the Brisbane Broncos. My Brisbane Broncos, they were absolutely smashed last night. And poor Reece Walsh, well, you can see him here on screen, looks like an absolute train wreck, the poor fella. Now, if we just talk about the game pretty quickly, Penrith were absolutely amazing. It was an absolute masterclass. I think there's no doubt about that. Now, yes, the Broncos were a little bit depleted, but no excuses. No team in the NRL should be purely reliant on just one or two players. Yes, there was no Reynolds. Yes, there was no Payne Haas. And yes, they lost Reece Walsh pretty early on. But it's the Brisbane Broncos. You know, this team was in the grand final last year. They honestly needed to do a little bit better. Well, actually a lot better than what they did last night. They really just weren't prepared for the whole loss of Reece Walsh, and I think they just fell apart. Their structures were a mess. They moved Piakura out to the centres. And players like Cleary and Tungo, they just had a field day. They made it look ridiculously easy. Now, let's talk about the Walsh clash for a second. Personally, I'm a bit 50-50 on it. I do have a bit of a Broncos bias, but I do appreciate that the head is a protected space these days. I honestly don't think Taylor May is a dirty player, and I don't believe it was deliberate. I think in the scenario last night, it would have been great once Reece Walsh was officially rubbed out that someone like a Tristan Sailor could have been activated and come onto the field. And I think that probably would have led to a more competitive match. But look, that's just my thoughts. From me, no excuses though. Penrith Panthers were absolutely the best team on the night, and I can tell you what, other clubs in the NRL better look out because they are on fire, and I reckon they're just getting started. So with that in mind, let's get into it. Alright, so some quick news that as I've been recording this video has kind of broken. It's unfortunately been confirmed for Reece Walsh that he does have a facial fracture. So you can see up there from Joel Gould that he's had a CT scan this morning, and unfortunately it looks like he's going to be gone for a couple of weeks as well. So that's really devastating news for the Broncos. I'm a big Broncos fan, you all know that by now. I don't want to see players getting clobbered in the head, but I certainly don't think it was something that that was deliberate. It's not the way the Panthers play, or at least most of them anyway, and definitely not Taylor May. So I think with this in mind, we're going to see a very, very different Broncos team over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Hopefully we can get Reynolds back on the park in the next week or two and start to rebuild what is starting to shape up as a pretty ordinary season for the Broncos. And I may have to review those ladder predictions. Anyway, let's get into the stats. Okay, so we've got our famous red marker back, and what I will say up the top is players like Brian To'o, Nathan Cleary, Isaac Tungo, Isaiah Yeo, and even Liam Henry there. Absolutely amazing. You really can't take it away from the Panthers. They were just absolutely electric. And really good from my point of view to see a player like Paddy Carrigan. He was the captain on the night. A really disappointing night for him, no doubt. But from a performance point of view on the field, he played the full 80 in the middle. And I thought he generally had a solid night. You know, 43 tackles, no misses. He was absolutely fantastic. Now, let's just go through it line by line. Brian To'o up top, 76 points. Amazing. Picked up the 2 tries, 2 line breaks, 7 tackles, 11 tackle busts, 4 missed tackles, which we can do without, 1 turnover tackle, and look at these meters run, 263, absolutely amazing, and he also picked up a kick defusal. So that's how he scored his points. I really love it when wingers in particular get involved in the game, and you can see that Brian To'o absolutely did that. Fantastic work. Nathan Cleary, his game was really a tale of 2 halves. In the first half, he was absolutely electric. The points were just flowing. Everything was looking fantastic until about halftime when he came back on for the second half. He just sort of hit the cruise control button and obviously was pulled off with 8 minutes to go. So didn't play the full 80. So that's a little bit disappointing. Picked up a decent 75. At one point, this could have been, you know, upwards of 100, and that would have been absolutely amazing. But one thing you've got to love about a Nathan Cleary scorecard is just the sheer number of different bits and pieces that he picks up in his game. He's just got the whole lot covered. Couple of missed tackles, but don't worry about those. Offloads galore, turnover tackles, meters run, huge kick meters, and even managed to secure a forced dropout. So he's just got an amazing arsenal of weapons that he can bring out when he needs to and blow opposition off the park. Now, Paddy Carrigan, as we said, he got the 66 points in 80 minutes, 43 tackles with 0 misses, which is amazing. No errors as well, couple of offloads and 167 meters run. He did concede a penalty and he did have a 6 again infringement, but overall, an amazing night for Patrick Carrigan, who did step up in the absence of Payne Haas. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Okay, so next up, we've got Tungo, 66 points. He also picked up the 2 tries, couple of line breaks, really got involved in defense, 18 tackles, 5 tackle breaks, 1 missed tackle, 1 offload, couple of errors. And his other highlight really was the 154 run meters. And of course, he got a turnover tackle, which was pretty good. I've got to say, when it comes to centers, Tungo is actually looking like he's going to be the #1 center in 2024. He certainly stepped up early, whereas the other centers that we've been looking at, so players like Taylor May, who we'll talk about soon, players like Roger Tuivasa-Sheck at the Warriors, Dane Gagai at the Newcastle Knights, they just haven't delivered to the same degree that a player like Isaac Tungo has in the early part of the season. So if you've jumped on board with Tungo, well done, 66 points. I think you would be very happy with that indeed. Yo, 58 points, 72 minutes. I think at one point the commentary team said of Cleary and Yo, they've got themselves into a position where they can park the Ferraris in the garage. So that's absolutely true. Both of these superstars played incredibly well. And look at this, a clean sheet. So 32 tackles, no missed tackles, which is amazing. No errors. No penalties conceded. So, you know, Yo just did absolutely everything he needs to do. Also picked up a couple of offloads and had some decent run meters. You know, that's exactly what anyone wants from a forward. Just come on, do your job, don't make mistakes and execute flawlessly. And that's the type of player that Yo really is. So if you did the Payne Haas to Isaiah Yo, then I think you'd be really happy with that decision right now. Henry, 49 in 43 minutes is his highlight, and he's only 341k. So if you picked him up, you'd be pretty happy with that. 38 tackles, 2 tackle breaks, and 105 run meters. He did concede a penalty and did have a 6 again infringement. But overall, you'd be really happy, I think, with that performance. He is definitely going to continue to make you a lot of cash. So well done if you picked him up. Cobbo, unfortunately, came down to earth a little bit, only the 46 points. Down from that big score he got last week. He was shuffled out from the centers to fullback, and I did think that that disrupted the flow of the game for him. I thought he did a decent job, but I really think his big body is suited more closer to the action than down in fullback. So unfortunately, he just didn't get the points that he needed. But he did have a try saver. He did have a line break. Only the 1 tackle, which I find bizarre. 7 tackle breaks, which is amazing. 2 missed tackles. 2 errors, 1 turnover tackle, 167 meters, and 6 kick defusals, and 1 forced dropout, and 1 escape from in-goal. So overall, not too bad, but not amazing for Cobbo. He will continue to make you money though. So if you've jumped on Cobbo, you won't be that disappointed. Edwards was good, without being amazing or great. 309 run meters, I think, was his big highlight. I think he can do without some of these errors though, and a few missed tackles as well. Corey Jensen continues his money-making run. It will start to slow down now because his point scoring is kind of approaching his break-even point. So if you're on Corey Jensen, you may want to consider jumping off pretty soon. But I thought he did a pretty good job. 32 tackles, picked up the 1 tackle break, only the 1 error, and 129 meters. He was good without being great. Madden, I thought he tried hard for his 43, just didn't have the organizational skills that a Reynolds does. And I could see that he was trying to do everything and really just not having the same impact or cut through that, you know, Adam Reynolds is known for. 27 tackles though, 1 miss, 1 offload, 1 error, 1 turnover tackle, 48 run meters, and 378 kick meters was probably his highlight, and 1 penalty conceded. So overall, a decent night, but he's clearly the apprentice up at the Broncos and has a lot of work left to do if he wants to crack the full-time squad. Let's keep moving. Mitch Kenny wasn't too bad, 43 points. I think the big thing that's a concern here is the 6 missed tackles. That was a little bit of a watch out. Smith, 42, not too bad in 47 minutes played. I think he came on and had some really decent impact up the middle. 33 tackles in 47 minutes is pretty decent, along with 108 run meters, so good on him. Mariner looked the better of the two wingers for the Broncos. 41 points, was trying hard, got involved in everything, managed to pick up a try, looked great from a tackle break point of view, and ran for 118 meters. So overall, a pretty decent game for Mariner. I think he looks better and better every week, and hopefully he can continue to improve. I think he just looked, like I said, the better of the two wingers on the night. Now, Martin and Luai both with 40 points. Luai was doing what he does best, and that's to niggle oppositions. He's unpredictable. I thought both of these guys were pretty good without being amazing. Luai, I think his highlight was probably the 234 kick meters. 14 tackles, so he got involved. He got the try saver. He had a line break assist, and he got a tackle break. So nothing particularly amazing. One turnover tackle as well. Martin, the 24 tackles, 3 tackle breaks, 1 missed tackle, which was bad, an offload and a couple of errors, as well as a penalty conceded. So not the most amazing night for Martin, but overall I thought both of these guys did their job pretty well. Now the next few players came on, did their job and had some good impact in limited minutes. So you've got Eisenhuth here, 39 points in 44 minutes. Hetherington, I thought he looked really good when he came on, 37 points in 45 minutes. Willison, I really think he was underutilized on the night. I thought he looked great when he was on the park, just didn't seem to get the minutes. 35 points in 44. Leota looked amazing, like a bulldozer, seriously. 34 points in 52 minutes. He was just unstoppable in parts, so awesome job. Fletcher Baker, 34 in 71. I reckon I'd be pretty disappointed with that, especially given that Willison outscored him with less minutes. Now, the thing that impacted all of these 5 players was this column here, the errors. So all of them are, unfortunately, that second tier down. You've got Eisenhuth with 3 missed tackles, Hetherington with 3, Willison with 2, Leota with 2, and Fletcher Baker with 4. And that's cost them all a lot of points, unfortunately. You throw that in with a couple of penalties. So you got 1 here from Eisenhuth, 1 here from Willison, and an error over here from Fletcher Baker. And you'd say it was probably a decent night that had so much more potential from a couple of these guys. Okay, let's keep moving. Now, a lot of the players on this list are players that really had a night that you probably wouldn't want to remember. So Walters, pretty ordinary to be honest, 31 points, 5 missed tackles really hurt him, and 1-6 again infringement. So not the best night for Walters. 40 tackles is great, but it's those 5 missed, which is just something that's going to continue to hurt him. The other thing that was a little bit disappointing from Walters is he's just not running. So 4 meters here is just not enough from somebody who wants to play hooker. And I think that's something I really want to see more of in the future. What can I say? I love hookers that run. Okay, Piakura, look, he was probably lucky to get this 30 points. It really fluctuated. It was going up to 14, down to 5, up to 7. It was all over the shop. So I was surprised when the app refreshed this morning and he was sitting on 30. On the surface, it looked like he had a pretty decent game when he was playing on the edges. Unfortunately, though, he got punted to the centers when Cobbo had to go back to fullback, and his scoring rate just absolutely plummeted. Now, the thing that really hurt him, obviously, was just these 6 missed tackles. Losing 12 points was not good. And in fact, I reckon he made most of his points in the back half of the second half, because before that, he was just all over the place, not really doing anything significant. I'd still say that if you've got him, and I think a lot of people do, he's a hold for a little bit longer. I think the money-making potential is there. He's just going to have to get through some of these harder games and hopefully not end up in the centers. And I think if he can have a proper 80-minute game on the edge, he can absolutely pump out 50-odd points. Maybe it's wishful thinking, not sure. Okay, Jesse Arthur's 30. He's kind of like Piakura. Like, the score at halftime for Jesse Arthur's was atrocious. I think it was less than 10. He really was only saved by the try. I can't believe he's only down for 1 tackle. I think that is just wrong. 2 missed tackles cost him. 1 error also cost him. Overall, not amazing. He probably gets 1 more week in my fantasy team because I'm missing Paps next week. He will continue to make a little bit of money, but I'm thinking he's on the chopping block in the not too distant future. All right, let's keep moving. Stags, only 29 points. I thought he looked really good. but the stats just didn't sort of translate into actual fantasy results. What I did love from Stags was the aggression. Unfortunately, a little bit too aggressive here. He picked up a penalty and he had the 2 missed tackles. Overall, not his best night, and I think if you had him at 554k, you would be very disappointed with that 29 points. Taylor May, I think, is another one you'll be pretty disappointed. 636k, only the 28 points. I really wanted Taylor May, but now I'm having second thoughts. His price is going to absolutely plummet. He did have to go off for a HIA at one point, and that cost him a few minutes. But overall, they just didn't really go down his side as much as they did the Isaac Tungo side. And ultimately, that just meant that he wasn't in the game as much as some of those other players. He also had the 1 missed tackle, the 2 penalties, and the 1-6 again infringement that really cost him. Taruva was fantastic in the first 10 to 15 minutes. 28 points there, got a try. Unfortunately, missed the 3 tackles. I felt that he just went a bit missing. Again, it's just a reflection of the side of the field that he was on, and really didn't need to get involved as much as he could have. Ricky was just a little bit sloppy. 5 missed tackles, 2 errors. So there's an additional 14 points that he missed out on. So overall, not amazing. Tyson Smoothie, 26 in 32 minutes. What I do like is he had the 22 run meters and 57 kick meters, both of which were better than what Billy Walters was able to achieve up here. Now, I do like Billy Walters, but I think when it comes to making sure the Broncos have a superstar hooker, I'm starting to think that Walters just isn't it. Now, Ezra Mam, 25, that's an improved performance, and he did look pretty decent when he started to run, but it was all too little too late. Like, they didn't really start to do that until probably around about the 55th minute of the game. And by then, the game was well and truly over. 6 missed tackles. You know, at one point, he just looked like a speed bump. For a player that's just signed, I think, a near-on $1 million contract, I want to be seeing more from Ezra Mam. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, so our last page here, Scott Sorensen. We were never really keen on him. Unfortunately, only the 19 points in 49 minutes. 3 missed tackles is also not good enough. Garner, 19 in 31. Came on, did his job. Nothing particularly amazing. Laurie, only the 4 points in 9 minutes, which I think is actually more than he got in the last game. And the big one here is Reece Walsh. 2 points in 4 minutes. Absolutely shocking. 697k. That price is just going to plummet. And it's looking like he's going to be out for a couple of weeks now that it has been confirmed he has a facial fracture as well. So not looking good for Reece Walsh. Not looking good for the Broncos. I'm looking forward to putting this one behind us and moving on to the next game. Hopefully the Broncos can bounce back for me. If you're a Panthers fan, well done. You absolutely smashed us, and I think you have a lot to be cheering about. The Panthers are firing in 2024. And as I'm wrapping up this video, I can see that Eisenhuth has picked up a shoulder charge fine on Ezra Mam, $2,000 penalty. So there'll be more news to come out of this game, I think. But there you go, that's the video. If you've liked it, you know what to do. Smash that like button for me. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, guys, get involved in the conversation via the comment section down below. And I'll see you all in the next video.